In a world full of strife, misunderstanding, vanilla lifestyles, and boring bedroom activities, there believed to be a man with the solution to it all. Coming to a podcast near you, Taboo Table Talk.
Hey yo, I could do a bunch of different tidbits like that. Voiceovers, different voices, man. I can do like 52 different voices. It's crazy. Anyway, welcome to Taboo Table Talk, where, our mission statement is basically to educate, assimilate, and vindicate those in minority communities, especially Black people, when it comes to all things in the kink community, in the BDSM lifestyle, and all while disseminating and shaming our culture when it comes to STD and STI prevention, So, shout out to Elijah Day of Clear Soul Forces for this instrumental for this podcast. Shout out to him, fellow Detroiter. Love him to death. Yo, do your thing, my guy. All right, so ultimately, my goal is to want to help disenfranchised, kinky people feel more comfortable liking what they like, right? Well, you may ask, who's this guy, right? You want to know, right? Some of you may or may not know that I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and out of all things, I'm foremost a compersionist, as unrefined as they come, right? I've spent, most of my life in healthcare, collecting a large lexicon of anatomy and physiology. And during college, I published a peer-reviewed journal called Vulva Ethics, the Postulation of Pleasure. This publication received rewards from ASHA, which is the American Sexual Health Association, also the International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health. So, with all of that, I went through a period of trying to find myself, and a friend came to me and gave me a book. This book was by Montauk Chia and Rachel Abrams. It was called The Multi-Orgasmic Woman. Montauk Chia also published a book called The Multi-Orgasmic Man. If you have a chance, if you ever get a chance, please check it out. Please, when you get that chance. Anyway, so that sparked the very fire inside of me to be able to have the discussions like I'm having right now with you. And it also inspired me to attend seminars and discussions, building the knowledge and pairing it with my experience and giving you guys guidance and intimacy tips. This journey is segued to me to pursuing the very question that, what do kinky people do? How do they find their place? Do they find their voice? And in Taboo Table Talk, we talk about all things kinky, whether it be rope, whether it be knife play, whether it be suspension, whether it be breath play, oxygen deprivation, whether it be impact play. It can be dom and a sub dynamic. While I was focusing on, the International Society of the Study of Women's Sexual Health, I got a certification as a ambassador of vaginal pleasure, believe it or not. And then I launched Taboo Talk on Taboo Table Talk, my bad, on Clubhouse. And then we talked about RAC. We talked about enthusiastic consent, which RAC is risk-aware consensual kink, in case you didn't know. There are all types of consent that you can give. We can explore that on further episodes when we explore the wheel of consent. Google that if you want, so you have some back knowledge when we talk about it on the next episode. Anyway, so we talked about that and bringing that into the BIPOC which is the Black and Indigenous people of color circle. And it ultimately led me to you guys right here. In a world full of strife, we think that kink and BDSM is something to fear, but it's actually not, so I want to break off into a specific segment of this podcast and give you something very special. Story time. All right, story time. So I met this woman on Instagram, and she introduced me to different kink, organizations in Detroit, right? She talked about D-Hop, she talked about a couple of others, and what those experiences taught her. And I was on her page, and I was like, yeah, I see you're married. There's a lot of explicit things on my page. Would your husband feel okay with knowing that I got a lot of stuff on there that could, make him very uncomfortable? She's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's 100% fine. So, after exploring what their dynamic was, she was poly, or so she says. Not trying to be messy, but anyway, so she explored with me, and I found us to be more intimate later on in our relationship. And I was her dom, she was my sub. We had written out a contract, and things were going really well until they weren't, right? We became sexually intimate, physically sexual, because not all BDSM or kink dynamics or dom and sub dynamics are sexual. They may be non-sexual, which, impact play is non-sexual. It can be non-sexual. Anyway, so in our exploration together, we just fell. I said, because I'm demisexual, because it takes emotion for me to enjoy sex, right? I'm giving you a forewarning that this specifically is no man's land. This is your white flag to be able to say, hey, this is like your chance to get out, because I am invested in this. Anyway, so long story short, after expressing that, and then more times with us getting more intimate, I guess it got too much for her, and she just disappeared. Anyway, so when it comes to that dynamic, I don't want to speak negatively on her, right? Because all situations, whether it be negatively perceived or negatively connotated, I don't want to put a label on someone, because that's not my intention. My intention is to educate, learn, and assimilate to the culture, right? So when it comes to that specific dynamic, I don't think that it was something for me to be like, oh my God, this is horrible. I'm never going to do this again. But it was just a teaching situation. So that concludes the story time for this podcast, and that ends today's episode. I want to give a shout out again to Elijah Day of Clear Soul Forces for this background music. And you guys, this was the first episode. We've done it. It's over. It's done. It's finito, finished. But I want to see you again on the Taboo Table Talk. All right, you guys, much love. Peace.